welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to another week, another edition of the Code for Giants Cup number 13, your bi-weekly dose of Brazilian StarCraft. I'm of course your host, Live VIP, and with me I'm joined by these amazing players, the people in the chat, and by my plushies as well. Welcome, everyone, welcome. It has been far too long since our last Code for Giants Cup, but we are here, we are back, and we are ready to jump into our first match of the night. For those that are curious, exclamation mark, be in the chat. If you guys want to have a look at the bracket yourselves, the bracket is live, the bracket is stacked, and we are jumping into our first series. Spawning in the top left-hand corner of Oceanborn, we have the Brazilian Protoss player, the red Protoss representing Team Hellfire. It is AlisoN, aka AlisoN. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have the Brazilian Zerg player, the blue Zerg, representing the Platinum Heroes. It is Tatagiba. Oh god, let's go. Let us go as we are settling into our first matchup. And if you're in the chat, you know what time it is. It is time to get your predictions going. Predictions, they are now open in the chat. Best of luck with your predictions here as well. As of course it is a best of 3, and I do think this is going to be a harder one to call. I feel like on paper, based on the performances historically, I do favor AlisoN coming into this series, but at the same time, Tatagiba has also been getting some really impressive results as of late, and I believe did take a map. Yeah, went to the ace match against some players during, was it the Pegasaur Cup? Pegasaur Cup, yeah, there we go. And even the Stego Monday Cup before that as well. So I'm curious to see how Tatagiba can perform against a player of the caliber of AlisoN. I'm gonna be curious here. Here we go. Again, there's still many other players competing in the event. We have Master, we have Eric as well, we have Inexorable, Kamikaze, Don Minoko, and many others. Whew. Let's go. Again, of course, a big shout out to Cosmos. Cosmos is kind of like the equivalent of Wardy in the Brazilian scene, for example. He does a lot of content, he casts a lot, of course, and he hosts a lot of events as well. He has, or it's because of Cosmos that we've been able to bring this event together here, Code for Giants Cup, a Brazilian-only tournament. It's been a while, it's been a long time. I mean, Brazilian-only events used to be a lot more common, used to be a lot more prevalent many years ago, especially with Amantes de StarCraft, for example, and even, oh my god, I almost said, yeah, Desafiantes. The Desafiantes equivalent, which was Gladiadores. That's it, Gladiadores. Back in the day as well. It's been a long time. Been a long time. But now we're settling in. And AlisoN opening up Robo. Oh my god. Okay, a much more aggressive start out of us. AlisoN, it's going to be a short series. We're going for a faster Robo. This can lead into a Bay, into a Disruptor drop, or into a Colossus drop, or it can lead into a 2-base all-in with Immortal production. I'm leaning more towards the 2-base all-in side, but we'll see. We'll keep an eye on AlisoN. Meanwhile, Tatagiba going to be waddling in with a handful of lings, trying to get a scout off, and it looks like he will slip in. Does slip into the main base. We've got a full scout as well. Massive moment here for Tatagiba. Does come from the Robo, and this will let him know to just, you know, throw down an earlier Roach Warren at around like the 4 minute 30 mark, and to get ready for eventual aggression. Now he knows that something is wrong, something is amiss. I should also fix up the nameplates, actually. One moment. There we go. A little bit better, a little bit easier. Meanwhile, Prison first, interesting. War Prison first. There is no Bay alongside this. Very interesting here. I'm curious how AlisoN is going to piece this all together. Opting not to go for a Bay, opting not to get into the Immortal production first. I'm curious if we're going into Immortals behind this. No, we're going Prism into Observer. Harassing with a handful of gateway units here, but they're going to be vanilla gateway units. And is AlisoN going to... Is this a macro build? Are we going to be taking a third? No shot. Stalker goes for the Overlord. Twilight Council behind this. Into a Forge? Okay. Okay. Yeah, my attention. So this looks like +1 Blink Stalker. I mean, it could be +1 Charge. True, but this hits so late. I mean, especially because we're already building up Immortals, we're throwing down extra gateways, we're not taking a third. Like, this is a much later 2-base all-in. Especially if we actually want to make use of the Forge. So, yeah, interesting. Now, there's a bit of a give and take. On the one hand, 2 Overlords just went down, so I mean, nice pickoffs. It is going to supply block Tatagiba. It is going to slow him down. Tatagiba, he did invest a little bit early on into these roaches, but the reality is right now he has to drone. Tatagiba, he has to drone up. I mean, there's only 2 stalkers. He has more than enough to defend. He needs to drone from here. He needs to try to get a bit of a better economic edge to be able to keep up with AlisoN in a longer game state. There we go. He is droning. So Tatagiba getting up to 4 gases. That's a lot of gas to work with. 4 gases, droning up as well. The worker count is still a little bit lackluster, but he is thankfully droning. Ooh, is still making roaches though. And I mean, we need roaches eventually, but right now I feel like a more stable economy is necessary first before investing in the army, considering it's only 2 stalkers. Speaking of, they get one drone goes down, just the one so far. Meanwhile, AlisoN is building up towards that eventual 2-base immortal charge all in. AlisoN is getting there. And again, it's on Tatagiba to be ready in time. He's droning up to 45. So a bit of a lower drone count. I feel like this is going to be the bare minimum to defend. This is like 2-base saturation. He is now focusing on roach production. But I'm still not entirely convinced here. Bearing in mind that I'm not actually sure that Tatagiba is fully aware of what's going on. He hasn't rescouted the 3rd. Overseer scout is denied as well. AlisoN gonna hunt it down. Overseer trying to move out across the map is gonna fall now. Thankfully, oh god, the supply block. Now is not the time. Tatagiba building up more lings, building up more roaches. It's gonna be close. I feel like this is gonna be a close defense here for the Zerg. As here comes the all-in. It is 4 immortals. That's crazy. 4 immortals is insane. And again, I do worry that it took a little bit too long to drone up, but we do have a decent roach ravager force. We're going to try to hold on here at the ramp. Good positioning. Just see AlisoN rotating around towards the right hand side. Does have another warping available. And there we go, warping in 6 zealots in the sentry, 7 gate all in. Jesus. Oh,
paused.
There was a little bit of latency there. Did notice. Hopefully everything is okay. Impossible. But yeah, they're all just confirming we all felt the lag, and hopefully the players are okay. We have had some latency issues in the past when it comes to the history of Code for Giants Cup, when it comes to whether it's AlisoN or Dominoko or Shakti having to, or their internet going down or their power going out. It's happened. But yeah. AlisoN, he's just testing his latency. Okay. And it's pretty important here that the latency is minimized, just because the all-in's about to hit. Like we're about, oh god, no! AlisoN, he's lagging out. Okay, so we have confirmed it is AlisoN. He is experiencing some latency issues. Now is not the time to lag out. But thankfully, we did notice the latency before the fight did begin, before it commenced. But yeah, it's hopefully it is resolved before before the fight starts. Okay, we're good.
Game resumed.
Game is resumed. Do you see a Zerg player here massing on more roaches? I mean, it's gonna come down to the force fields. How good are the force fields gonna be? Nice concave here from our Zerg, from Tatagiba. Zealots, they charge in. Force fields, they look down some of those roaches. Not too many of them though. Yeah, they're still able to engage. The Zealots are being cleaned up with the Immortals. They do so much of the back. The Prism goes down! Oh my god! War Prism does fall without that warp in. Yeah, there's not enough. There's barely not enough. The Immortals are forced back. And we had another wave of Zealots here. These roaches would have gone down. And Tatagiba is going to be able to hold on. Takes down the final Immortals. GG gets called. And Tatagiba survives and takes game 1. GG. It is a shame that there were some latency issues. It is a shame that AlisoN was lagging out. I hope that didn't too heavily negatively affect the execution of the all-in. But it's one of those things that's a little bit out of our control, so it's a bit of a shame that that's kind of how the game did conclude. But regardless, GG, well played. Tatagiba does take the first game here at least, and again, I do feel like a big moment in that fight was, I mean, there were a couple of big moments. Something that was a little bit interesting is that even though force fields were thrown down, I don't know if you were noticing, but because the army was mainly zealot based and because of the positioning, even though there were force fields, the roaches, all of them were actually still fighting. Like, ideally, when you force field a portion of the army, you pull away and you make it so that you have those units that are forced on the other side. You keep them out of the fight, right? You kind of keep them out of the fight, so you kind of cut the army in half. You deal with one portion first and the other. Because of how the force fields were placed, they didn't really impact like the DPS rate or the damage output of those roaches. So they were all still, you know, being effective. They were all still helping and adding to the fight. On top of that, the prison went down without reinforcements. Despite the fact that the force fields were lackluster, it does look like if there was another warping of zealots, then maybe that would have been enough for those 4 immortals to actually break through the final roaches and even end the game. It would have been a very different outcome, I feel, or it would have impacted the fight very, very much so. GG, well played. With that, Tatagiba takes the first game. And now we're getting ready for game number 2. Looks like we're just trying to sort out latency issues though. Looks like AlisoN is making sure that everything is okay on his end before we jump in. There we go. Just catching up in the chat. Hope Eric joins. Yeah, Eric's in the tournament. Yeah, is in the tournament. What servers use Brazil? Papi, Brazil. But here we go. We're getting into our second game. It's going to be on Site Delta. Here we go. Oh, now I'm hoping for an ace match. I'm hoping for a game 3. So I was just catching up the chat. Just catching up. Get that. Go my stats, everyone. Good to see you. See you late, Chrononauts. Chewab. God damn. We're settling in and spawning in the bottom right hand corner of Site Delta. We have our red Protoss player representing Team Hellfire down in the series. We'll see if we can bounce back. It is AlisoN. And spawning in the top left hand corner, we have the Brazilian Zerg player, the blue Zerg representing the Platinum Heroes. It is Tatagiba. I'll fix up the nameplates. I'll fix them up. God damn it. They switch places. Yeah, there we go. So we are going to be settling in. But I did see some people asking, but yes, both players are GM. They're both at least 5k, between 5 to around 5.4k MMR. Both powerful players in their own right, which is one of the reasons why we jumped on this series. It is kind of brutal that some of the GMs already facing off in the first round. Aye. Good one feels bad, man. So Cosmos is seeding. What's going on? Just saying. Regardless, they do face off. And for now, it is going to be a hatch gas pool. Oh, I say that. Okay. Going for an extractor trick. Going for a... Okay, not quite a 15-15. Just hatch gas pool into an extractor trick here towards the end. Gas is already being mined. And we'll see what kind of approach AlisoN does take this time. You know, last game we did have, of course, a 2-way Sol-In that hit a little bit later. Was maybe hoping to catch the Zerg player more off guard, but as a reminder, Tatagiba did scout early on. Ducklings are moving out. So we have our initial Ling Flood. Ling Speed is still on the way, but actually we have 8 more Lings in production. Tatagiba, he's committing quite hard. Yeah, sending out Mass Ling. Back at home, AlisoN fully walls up. I say that now, I believe there is a small gap here. Lings, they can trickle in. Yeah, they do get in. Stalker's on the way. No re-wall. Yeah, boys, they need to be pulled. Stalker gonna get surrounded, and this could just be it. No, the Stalker is actually going to be saved. Yeah, just barely. Lings, they didn't get the surround. Didn't manage to wall off. Speaking of wall off, we need the probe. We need the pylon. We need the pylon back. AlisoN, he doesn't have 100 minerals. He doesn't have the money for it. He pulled a couple too many workers. Yeah, he needs the mine. And with a full wall, he should be okay. Losing 5 probes. Losing more than he really should have. There we go. Cleans up the Lings. Will get the shield battery. Doesn't have the room here for a pylon. They're losing far too much. Ling Speed kicks in. And it looks like Tatagiba may just end the game with this Ling Flood. Yeah, GG. GG. Well played. Tatagiba will take the series 2-0. Will advance on to the next round. GG. Bit of an unfortunate start there. During that probe defense, I kind of glossed over it. I did briefly mention only 85 minerals were mined. There wasn't a full 100 minerals, so because of that, AlisoN wasn't able to fully wall off with the pylon, didn't actually have the minerals for it, was defending initially and did save the Stalker. I'm a little bit surprised that occurred, but wasn't able to fully wall off, wasn't able to survive, wasn't able to minimize losses, and with that, GG. GG, well played. In the end, Tatagiba takes a series. Does take the series. Just a really unfortunate start there for the Protoss, and congratulations. Congratulations, Tatagiba does advance on into the next round. Hopefully everything's okay from the side of AlisoN. I mean, we did see that AlisoN was lagging out earlier, so latency, I'm sure. It isn't just that latency can affect like your play, but it can affect your like mental state a little bit as well. Like it can be like frustrating and kind of like take you out of the zone and take you out of kind of like the, yeah, just the rhythm that you're in when you're playing StarCraft. But with that, we can have a look at the bracket itself and catch up on what's been going on.